Gemstone Godzilla, Toho's anniversary Godzilla, having fought two world-ending threats, those being Megalon and Gigan Rex. Despite only having a collective 16 minutes and 34 seconds of screen time, that's all it took for people to realize that Gemstone Godzilla is no pushover, and is easily one of the most powerful Godzillas ever seen on screen. And since they haven't released a film of him this year, I've put it onto myself to give you more Gemstone battles. Since Toho doesn't want to, given he has cleared his verse, today we're sending Gemstone Godzilla to another universe. One with many more kaiju to fight off against, the Monsterverse. Filled to the brim with kaiju, these kaiju range in power drastically. Some regrow forests with their poop, while others can freeze the entire globe. Today we're covering one of my favorite Godzillas ever, Gemstone Godzilla. In this video we'll see how long he can last in the ring against the big boys of Legendary's Monsterverse. Will he go down in the first fight, like Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, or have we found a new champion? Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm your host Goji Guy, and today we're asking the question, can Gemstone Godzilla survive the Monsterverse? Before I start, very quickly I will add that if you want to see weekly dinosaur, kaiju, anime, and sci-fi content, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on some of the major upcoming videos. Trust me, you'll want to see them. With all that out of the way, let's dive in. So firstly, we need to address a few things. We'll be giving Gemstone Godzilla the same treatment I gave the kaiju in my Godzilla against the Pacific Rim video, aka just leveling their stats, assuming Gemstone Godzilla and his kaiju in the Monsterverse, and figuring out how much they would weigh. So, with all that covered, let's look at his bracket. The kaiju he'll battle are Behemoth, Abaddon, the Ion Dragon, Scylla, the female Muto, Camazotz, Kong with the Beast Glove and Axe, Ghidorah, and finally, Shimo. And so with our titanic bracket in place, let's cover all of Gemstone Godzilla's feats, starting with his strength. Gemstone Godzilla is shown in both the trailer and the GVG short film that he can easily toss around the Gigan Miles, like they aren't even there. And assuming they have Monsterverse-style weights, given the material they're made out of, their size and length, the miles should come in around 70,000 to 90,000 tons. He's easily able to break through and tear out the throats of Gigan Miles, which is really impressive, as these are the same Miles that can withstand atmospheric re-entry. He's able to crush the head of a Miles, along with punching another one back a few blocks. He was able to pull Gigan Rex towards himself, and further when Gigan had lodged himself into the ground, he was able to slap him away with a single tail swipe. Gigan Rex most likely weighing a little bit more, probably weighing close to, if not 100,000 tons. Next up, he was able to punch back Megalon, even when only at 30% power. Now the interesting thing is, with Gemstone, is that he can amplify his strength, using his radiation, putting radiation into different parts of his body to make them more powerful. So even in his normal state at 30% power, he was able to punch back Megalon, who was flying at him at supersonic speeds. Megalon, due to his sheer size, most likely weighs in at 100,000 tons. For speed, Godzilla is kinda odd. While hand-to-hand and walking, he's pretty slow. We need to keep in mind this feat. When he put all of his radiation into his dorsal plates, he blasted himself into the air. For agility, he's able to dodge attacks from the Miles. These same Miles are able to outpace fighter jets. I'm not saying this Gigan is going as fast as a fighter jet in this scene right here, but they're still extremely fast. He's able to grab onto Gigan Rex's blades, and of course has a very prehensile tail. For durability, he eats tank shells for breakfast. He's able to catch Gigan Miles' arms with no damage. He doesn't take any injury from Gigan's beams, and while getting knocked down, he takes no damage from Gigan Rex's beam. He's also able to catch Rex's blades in his hand with no cuts, and most impressively in the first short, he was able to tank the explosion from his and Gigan Rex's beam clash. Gigan Rex being powered off of many Gigan Mile cores. In Godzilla vs. Megalon, Godzilla takes many of Megalon's napalm bullets. He later, when getting knocked down by said bullets, again shows no damage. He takes Megalon's electrical attacks like a champ, and he's able to take blows from Megalon's arms with no damage. And the feat of all feats, while he was in immense pain, falling to the ground afterwards, Godzilla's skin wasn't able to be pierced by Megalon's mega drill arms that pushed him across an entire city. And keep in mind, that was a weakened Godzilla. And finally, for his abilities, he of course, like every Goji, has atomic breath, being a super powerful beam, making explosions that reach hundreds of meters into the sky. He's also a master of his radiation, being able to let it out in pulses, atomic punches, and can even exclusively blast it out of his dorsals, allowing him to fly for a brief moment. But most importantly, he has his special state, where he glows white, entering a new and more powerful form, where with a single pulse, he literally vaporized 3 Gigan Miles. And when hitting one with his beam, he was able to cause this. And as we see, even when fighting Megalon at 30% of his base thermonuclear power, he's still able to go into this form. But there is one ability Godzilla doesn't have that you and I do, and that is the ability to make a difference. Before I start this video fully, I want to announce something I've been working on for a long time. Since Christmas is right around the corner, I wanted to start a kaiju-wide community fundraiser. I'm happy to announce gifts from Goji. This holiday season, we, the Godzilla and kaiju community, will come together and try to raise $54,000 for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I wanted so badly to do this last year, but I didn't have the resources to do so. But this year, along with the help of many other channels such as FDA, Goji Chronic, Goji Center, Dangerville, and Slick, and many, many more, we plan to make a kaiju-sized impact for children around the world. If you're able to donate, please do. All proceeds go directly to St. Jude's and could literally save lives. You should see a little donate thing right beside the video, so make sure to go check out the fundraiser and consider donating. So, with all of that finally out of the way, let's dive in. Gemstone's first opponent is Behemoth. Behemoth first appearing in Godzilla 2019 only has so many feats. Behemoth has shown that he can rip through buildings with his tusks. He of course breaks out of his containment field and causes the cave he was in to collapse. For durability, Behemoth is unharmed by napalm explosions, and his back spikes are stated to be made of unbreakable granite. And of course, like any kaiju, he's unharmed from tanks and missiles. And for his abilities, his only thing that'll be useful in this fight is his regeneration. But other than that, I mean, he got packed up, boxed, and shipped off by a kaiju made of trees, dirt, and mud. Yeah. Really just a single beam should do the job. With no difficulty, Gemstone Godzilla moves on. Next up is Abaddon, the giant spider titan. Now, Abaddon doesn't have too much. Other than taking a few hits from Kong, she really hasn't done much. And at the moment of writing this, the new comic isn't out yet. Really the only impressive thing she's got is that her webs are stronger than steel, and she's able to take hits from Kong. Kong being able to punch with the force of a 4.2 magnitude earthquake. So, yeah, again, I don't really think it's a discussion. The only thing she's got over Godzilla is speed. Given she's an arachnid, she moves pretty quick. But other than that, yeah, Godzilla once again moves on with no difficulty. Next up is our first aerial titan, the Ion Dragon. Now, one advantage off the bat the Ion Dragon has is that he's much faster and more agile, allowing him to easily traverse the battlefield and get around Gemstone Godzilla when needed. For strength, using his flying speed along with his weight, he's able to slam into and stagger Godzilla, Dohei Goji weighing in at 99,634 tons. The Ion Dragon is also able to subdue Godzilla, pushing his head and arm away so he can easily bite Godzilla's neck. He's also able to later push Godzilla back with a single tail swipe. For durability, he is super tough, being able to withstand being slammed into a mountain. Well, hold on, off topic. Is that a mountain? Little side rant. The definition of a mountain is, quote, a large natural elevation on the Earth's surface, rising abruptly from the surrounding level, end quote. And well, Axis Mundi is somewhere like near the core, even below the surface and the hollow Earth. So let me know in the comments if you think it qualifies as a mountain. Anyway, he was able to withstand being slammed into a tall rock, but most impressively is that he's pretty beam resistant, tanking Godzilla's atomic breath to the face with only a few burns to show for it. And for abilities, he has Puke, which doesn't really do anything other than annoy Godzilla, so the Ion Dragon could stall for time, being able to stay away from Gemstone and land hits quick enough where Gemstone can't hit him back. But firstly, his attacks won't do really anything to Gemstone, and secondly, all Gemstone needs to do is pulses and the Ion goes down. So with low difficulty, and a lot of barf on him afterwards, Gemstone Godzilla moves on. Next up is Scylla, the massive spider-like crustacean, and she's the first Titan to have quite a few feats, so let's get into it. For strength, she's able to break through buildings with ease, and breaks out of the ground and king the monsters. Now into her feats against Godzilla and Dominion, though we do need to address one thing. Godzilla and Dominion is crazy weak. I'm talking weaker than 2014, even with the EMP nerf. As Godzilla used up all of his radiation in the thermonuclear pulses, and as we know, Monsterverse Godzilla gets less durable with the less amount of radiation he has in his body. So just keep that in mind. But as we see, she's able to draw blood from Godzilla, and seemingly knocks him back during their fight. She also at some point fights Godzilla as mentioned in the GXK novel, and GXK she was able to body clash into Godzilla. For speed, her best feat is that she's able to grab fighter jets and Dominion with her claws, but you could argue that's not really applicable in this fight, so we can at least take the fact that she was able to run at Godzilla at full speed. For durability, she's able to withstand being thrown into cargo ships, and able to withstand a massive explosion. In GXK, she's able to withstand being thrown across Rome, and is still able to fight after Godzilla's plump self jumped onto her. And like the Ion Dragon, she takes a beam to the shit, she didn't. Alright, well, let's move on. Still with all the stats in place, Scylla takes speed, but Godzilla still steals strength, durability, abilities, everything else. And even if he starts to get overwhelmed, he can just go into a special state and pulse, and you have fried crab everywhere. Yeah, with low difficulty, Godzilla moves on. Next up is a challenge we can all relate to, finding kaiju merchandise for a price that won't put a Godzilla-sized stomp on your wallet. Well, today's video is brought to you by Beast of the East Collectibles, and I'm here to show off Beast S.A.'s Monster Arts Jet Jaguar. This figure, like any Monster Arts, comes in a great box, having a whole bunch of detail on it. But I know what you want to see, that being the figure itself. And here he is, Jet Jaguar. What a beaut. Jet stands at around 6 inches tall, and for accessories, he comes with a couple sets of hands, along with a thumbs up, which, I mean, you should do on the video. Hey, he said it, not me. He also comes with antennas, so you can have him flying into battle, and he has a separate pair of eyes, and a small version of himself as well. The paint and sculpt are top tier. and many may think the price is a little high. But here's some good news. When checking out at Beast of the East Collectibles, you can save 5% on your entire order by using code GOJIGUY5. That's all caps GOJIGUY 5. If you want to pick up some amazing figures ranging from Godzilla to Gundam to Ultraman and Gamera, make sure to check out Beast of the East Collectibles. Thank you, Beast, for sponsoring this video, and let's move on. Next up is the female Muto. The female Muto being a big jump in strength. She was able to easily break through a mountain, she's able to stab into Godzilla, though keep in mind he was weakened, she was able to knock down Godzilla by ramming into him. Garagoji weighing in at 90,000 tons. She was able to further bring Godzilla to the ground with a single strike, and for speed, she's able to gallop for a short amount of time. And for durability, she takes many hits from Godzilla, even tanking the atomic breath to the face with little damage. So the female is the first kaiju that could reasonably damage Gemstone Godzilla, possibly being able to damage him with blunt force, though her claws wouldn't do as much. I mean, as we mentioned, he did take Megalon's Mega Drill at 30% power, so a few beams or Lord forbid an atomic punch should do the job. Next up is a huge jump in power, Camazotz, the Bat Titan. Camazotz is one of the most underrated kaiju in the Monsterverse, being able to easily beat Rodan. Yeah, I said it. Deal with it. So let's cover his feats. Camazotz is easily able to break through a mountain and fight against Kong. With his legs, he was able to lift Kong into the air, and later lift Kong with just his tail. Kong coming in at 90,000 tons. Camazotz is able to take punches from Kong. Kong, as we said, is able to punch with the force of a 4.2 magnitude earthquake, and Camazotz later survives falling from the sky. For speed, I don't really think we need to say much. Camazotz easily takes that. And his sonic screech will be like nothing Godzilla's ever faced before, being even more powerful than the primes. So overall, Gemstone will have a tough time. He would have to rely on perfect timing for his attacks, but if for any reason he just can't land a hit, he could just go into a special state and, well, pulse, which would vaporize Camazotz. With mid-difficulty, Godzilla moves on. Next up is Kong with his Beast Glove and Axe. Now this is where Godzilla will start to struggle. I don't even think we need to address all of Kong's feats, but I mean, like we already said, he punches with incredible force. And now being amplified with the Beast Glove, this is the same Kong who's able to very briefly knock out Godzilla in Egypt. He's able to run extremely fast, and is one of the most agile kaiju ever. Gemstone will really have to watch out for Kong's lightning punch, and of course the dorsal axe, as that would most likely start to pierce into Godzilla's skin. For this fight, Godzilla will have to go into a special state, using his atomic kicks to counter the punches, and pulses to keep Kong away with his blade. So overall, I see this fight going for a long time, but eventually Gemstone Godzilla would pull through. With mid to high difficulty, Godzilla moves on. Now onto the one who is many, King Ghidorah. Not even Monsterverse Godzilla can beat him on his own. So can the new Godzilla on the block do it? Well, firstly we need to address what normal Ghidorah is able to do. Luckily for Godzilla though, he himself can still amp himself. Godzilla in this fight would have to use a special state pretty much the entire time. Ghidorah is super strong, being able to take an amped Godzilla in Boston, breaking out of the Antarctic ice, and create shockwaves just from clashing into his Godzilla. So this battle would be tough, Ghidorah landing blow after blow, with Godzilla doing the same. Ghidorah's lightning would affect Godzilla, but as you see, he can counter it with a pulse. Though Ghidorah would be unprepared for Godzilla's atomic abilities. Seeing Godzilla flying at him out of nowhere, and then getting an atomic punch would not be good. Overall, I would say this fight just barely goes to Godzilla, as Ghidorah loves to construct his enemies, which would lead to his demise. Godzilla going into a special state and vaporizing Ghidorah. Also the fact that even if Ghidorah does safely drain his radiation, as it won't matter as, he could still go into a special mode. So just barely, I have Godzilla moving on. And finally, Shimo. Yeah, Godzilla isn't beating Shimo. And there you have it. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to comment what you want to see next. Again, thank you Beast for sponsoring this video, and make sure to check them out and the fundraiser. If you want to see more kaiju content, make sure to subscribe. But, as always, keep collecting. Goji Guy, out. See ya.